behind the glittering world of cinema lies an unspoken path of gender inequality. From the stars in front of the camera to the production team behind the camera, women have always faced challenges and obstacles in the film industry. Although the status of women in the film industry has risen in recent years, in response to growing calls for gender equality, gender inequality still exists and is particularly evident at multiple levels or positions. Gender inequality in the film industry is a long-standing and complex issue that includes a status gap for women in comparison to men, as well as the industry's obstruction of the creative space and opportunities afforded to women. A 2013 UNESCO study of over 30 countries found that, even though women are high consumers of cultural products, far fewer of them work in the cultural industry than men. Another survey showed that 3 times as many men as women were working behind the scenes of the 250 highest-grossing films in the US in 2021. The film industry needs a more diverse presentation of storytelling styles and filming techniques in today's day and age, and it is clear that gender inequality is not conducive to its development. Gender inequality in the film industry is rooted in a complex interplay of historical socio-cultural biases and institutional barriers. Since the inception of cinema, the industry has predominantly been viewed as a male domain, particularly in production roles, with female producers who can secure reliable funding for large projects being almost non-existent. This male-dominated perception extends not only to the creative and production processes, but also to audience expectations of gender roles. Women are often expected to take greater risks in team collaborations, and even when given equivalent work, they face challenges in consistently performing to expectations. Furthermore, mainstream media, including films, perpetuates gender biases and stereotypes, thereby reinforcing societal gender inequality. This creates a cyclical effect where societal and cultural gender inequality fuels inequality within the film industry, which in turn influences societal and cultural norms through its portrayals. The United States, as the #1 market in the film industry, has been leading the rest of the world, with box office exceeding $11 billion for the 3rd time in 2017. While China, as the 2nd largest market, is growing at a rate that leads the global market. The European market cannot be ignored, especially represented by the UK, which has been a major player for the past century or so. Therefore, we have analyzed the male-to-female ratio in the film industry in recent years by taking the United States, China, and the United Kingdom as our representatives. First of all, take the United States as an example. Statistics from 2017 to 2023 by role in the top 250 films in the proportion of female behind-the-scenes workers, of which the proportion of producers is the highest in 2021 to reach the highest point of 32% after a slight decline. Cinematography is the smallest proportion of less than 5% in 2017, after a small increase. In addition to the behind-the-scenes staff, the people involved in the statistics of the gender share of the cast in 2022, men and women roughly 10%, which has been the last few years, after the proportion of male and female roles in the participation of a slightly more balanced coordination. Secondly, is China's statistics. The highest proportion of female occupations is writers in 2022 accounted for 25%. The list is the director accounted for 4%, with the United States of nearly 20% gap is large. And from 2017 to 2020, women's share of the industry is almost zero growth trend, which means that women in China's film industry still have a long way to go. In comparison, the figures for the UK are not very impressive either. Of the 3,452 films produced in the UK between 2003 and 2015, 14% of the directors and 7% of the cinematographers were women. The data has not changed significantly in recent years, in terms of directors and writers. For example, although the percentage of female directors in the UK increased to 15.7% by 2017, only to fall again the following year. However, the percentage of female writers in the UK has increased, even if marginally, from 14.2% in 2014 to 22.8% in 2018. However, the power of women is still not to be ignored, and the fact that women make up the majority of the film industry's audience inspired more talented female workers to strive for excellence. In fact, some female directors, producers, or writers have indeed stood out in recent years, even beating out a host of men. Yinuo successfully stood out with its unique perspective and narrative style in the Chinese market in the Chinese New Year 2024, eventually earning 3.460 billion RMB at the box office. Jialing is one of today's most successful and box office captivating filmmakers, and is currently the highest-grossing female director in the world for a single film. Her directorial debut, Hi, Mom, was a critical hit, setting objective box office records, and Sony Pictures not only bought the remake rights but also remade and produced it in Hollywood. Compared to the warm-hearted debut, Yinuo's topic selection, narrative style, film creation is more daring. As a successful female director, Jialing not only acted in the film herself, but also participated in the production of the script, wearing many hats. At the same time, the creative team boldly uses women in important positions. For example, 2 of the 6 producers are women, the 2 editing directors are women, and the assistant director and the sound engineer are a man and a woman. The cast, in particular, is made up of mostly women in lead roles, and even when there are men in the lead roles, they are fewer than the actresses. Therefore, it can be said that this is a film for women, produced by a female-led creative team, representing more opportunities and platforms for female filmmakers and promoting gender equality. In addition to this, the film stars Jialing in a role that represents strength and finding oneself, which is very different from the traditional screen portrayal of women at home, looking for love. The female characters in the film are portrayed with more independence, depth and diversity, which will help to break down traditional gender stereotypes and show the versatility and capabilities of women in different fields. In Yinuo, the female characters not only have separate storylines, but also show their resilience, intelligence and sense of humor, which also breaks traditional stereotypes. Although the films and the creative team have achieved some success in characterization, equalizing the position of both genders in the industry as much as possible, female characters are still portrayed in a one-dimensional way and are often portrayed as subordinate or flattened independence on male characters. For example, the subplot of the film's storyline still uses the failure of love as a guide to bring about change, and the reason why the heroine's sister is not considered to be successful also comes from the failure of her marriage. In addition, even though more women are employed in the various aspects of film production, such as screenwriting, photography, editing, and production, compared to other film creative teams, the proportion of female practitioners is still low, and the team still relies on men to make the main decisions, which means that women's participation and voice in the film industry is still relatively weak. However, Jialing has achieved remarkable success as a female director in the Chinese film industry. The box office and word-of-mouth success of Hi, Mom proves the potential and ability of female directors in commercial cinema. Her success provides a powerful example for the study of women's position and development in the film industry, showing how female directors can break through barriers and achieve success in a male-dominated industry. On the other hand, Jialing's choice of subject matter that does not stick to traditional gender roles, showing women in different fields, daring to challenge and take risks, challenges gender bias and opens up the market for more types of women's films. By analyzing the data on gender ratios in the US, UK, and Chinese film industries, it is clear that gender inequality is pervasive across the globe. Although each country has made varying degrees of efforts to promote gender equality, women are still underrepresented in the film industry, with a consistently low percentage of women participating in everything from directing to screenwriting and from producing to technical positions. In order to achieve true gender equality, the film industry needs to make sustained efforts at multiple levels, increasing women's participation in all aspects of film production, breaking down gender bias, providing more training and resource support, and formulating policies to protect women's rights and interests are all necessary initiatives. Only with the concerted efforts of the entire industry can the film industry move towards a more equitable, diverse, and innovative future.
一切都太晚了，已经来不及了，毕竟人生已过了一半了，已经来不及做任何的改变了，或许只能下辈子再说。